Before my presentation on the new development of the China G4, so I'd like to make a very brief announcement on the new release of our China data product. So this 2018 China Administrative Boundary Maps. So this new city product includes 2018 the boundary maps by the province, prefecture, city, and the county neighbors. So all maps are in GIS shapefiles with both English and Chinese. And also we have updated the package for all administrative boundary maps of China from 14.9 to 2018. So you can go to our website, find more details about this new city product. So what's China GIS4? Why China GIS4? So China GIS4 is a web-based system for integrated spatial data analysis. And we have been provided this online spatial data service for several years. Now, many top universities in the US, will include some small colleges, they are using this China GIS4 for their research and teaching. So the original motivation or objectives to design such a China GIS4 is to help the user to find those kind of issues for spatial study, not what kind of spatial pattern, how the population or business are distributed over space, what's the structure, what types of population and business and on the space, and also trends, how the spatial distribution and the structures of population and business have been changed over time, and also linkages, how those population, business, and other aspects has been linked each other over time and space. So those kind of the data and also the functions are fundamentally for every field, for not only the economics, not only the business, the environment, health, for history, every field. This is a kind of very fundamental data and also fundamental questions we need to answer, and for their field studies. And also more importantly, how to evaluate the possible impact of different events on the spatial system. So based on the spatial system, so how the spatial system can provide this information to help us to evaluate those kind of possible impacts of the current and historical events. So what is China GIS4? So for those who haven't used China GIS4, and here is a very brief introduction. So China GIS4 is a web-based spatial data service. It provides a very unique and comprehensive information on population and business of China. So the China GIS4 provide more than 6,000 variables, and also those variables are comparable variables as different neighbors cover for all the province, prefecture, cities, counties, townships of main China. And the data are comparable also across different the years, across different population census and economic censuses. And also to provide easy access with many powerful functions. It can be used by anyone, even without advanced trainings. And also more importantly, no GIS skills required. You don't have to learn the GIS for making a map or querying the spatial data and from the map. So here is how the China GIS4 is a conceptual work. It includes the statistics data, sense data, GIS spatial data in one integrated system. And on the users, the end, you can get the charts, table, reports, and maps very easily. So it's a kind of provide integrated platform for spatial data and spatial data analysis and for China studies. where the China Explorer was programmed in Flex when we started. This in probably 2008. By that time, the HTML5 was not available yet. So now the Flex were going to be retired by the end of this year and from the web browsers. So we needed to update to have a new technology program and for the China Explorer. So that's the primary the motivation for the new development of the China Explorer. So with the new version of the China Explorer, you can see some major difference between the current version and new version. So the program, the user interface front end is in HTML5, not Flex. It will replace the Flex. And for the GeoExplorers, the current version usually require you install Adobe Flash Player. So if you don't have the Flash Player, they will ask you to install that one. It's a plugin. But for the new version, there's no such a requirement. Because some browsers, they will not be compatible with Adobe Flash Players. And also, the new version is much faster for initial loading and also for response, interactive the response, than the current version in Flex. And more important, the new version provides a step-by-step guideline information. So you can go step by step 1, 2, 3, 4, and you will not miss, and so you will not get confused but about what you're going to do next step. So this is the new interface of the China GeoExplorer. We have been working very hard to make the version available and released. So here is the new interface. So on the left side is the current version. On the right side is the new version. So you can see the new version and has kind of the step 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can go through all these steps. So you don't need the training or even the guidebook for using the China GeoExplorers. So for the China Explorer, it provides some unique value of the China Explorer. So these are the 3 primary unique values of the China Explorer. The number 1, authority. All original data in the China GeoExplorer, or most of the original data, are from the National Bureau of Statistics of China with the authorizations. So we're not make up the data, or we're not to make the corrections or to the data. But the data is basically we respect original data and received from the National Bureau of Statistics. So those data are from the first and not from the second hand, say from the paper publications. The second one is completion. So the Chinese will provide a complete coverage of all the region of mainland China, including all the province, prefecture, city, counties, and urban districts, and urban and rural townships. So there's about 32 the province and about more than 300 prefecture cities, more than 2,800 the counties and urban districts, about more than 60,000 the townships, urban and rural townships in 2000 population census, and there are about more than 50,000 the townships in the 2010 the population census. So that's different than any paper publications. You probably cannot find those complete coverage, even every single variable, and for all the counties, and from the population, the census or economic census for all China. So that's a significant difference and between the data in the China Explorer and any other the publications. And also uniqueness. So the data in the China Explorer are from very different sources and also for different regions and times. Those data has been integrated with the GIS maps. And also we provide several different base maps. So the data, even they are from different years, different sources, they are compatible and across the time, across the region. So that provide a very important the feature for those data in the China Explorer. Because for the Chinese, the sense data and the statistics data, all the data from National Bureau of Statistics, they don't have the spatial location and spatial information. That's different than the U.S. the sense data. The U.S. sense data, you will come up with the tiger, the GIS, the ship fires. But for Chinese, all this data, there's no spatial location, there's no map. So we provide a map and integrate all those data with the GIS maps. And also those maps have to match those the population sense data, economic sense data of the census year. So officially, there's no official the GIS map exists to match those the census data in different years. So here you can see a list of some unique data of China Explorer. So the first one, the GIS maps. So GIS maps, we include several very important base maps. So the base maps for 2000, the census maps, 2010 census maps, at province, prefecture, city, county, township, and zip neighbors. And also we provide, we developed a comparable census map for 2000 and 2010 census by province, prefecture, city, and township, and counties. So that's also the similar issues actually for the U.S. census data. Because for every 10 years, the Chinese, the administration unit has been changed, either by province, prefecture, city, or counties, most by counties or even townships. So the data from the different census years are not comparable. So we develop make a base map. So this base map can combine the data from two different censuses. So those base maps are not only important for this the Chinese for those studies based on the Chinese Explorer, and those the base maps are important for actually for many different the studies. So they can use this base map to match those census data and also with other data they connected by themselves. Another important unique value is the data, is the population census data. The population census data include 2000 and 2010 population census data. So those data are available at province, prefecture, city, county, and township level, and also include 2000 and 2010 comparable population census data. And also 2000 and 2010 population grid data. So we projected the population data and from township level to the 1 square kilometers. So we can use the grid data to estimate the population business based on the spatial location and the spatial range, and based on the polygon of some region of your interest, but they are not fitting any officially defined administrative units. And also it includes some historical population data from 53, 64, 82, 99, 2000. So you can find how the population changed over time, over space. And also the China Explorer provide some very important data for business data. For population census data, there might be some official publications available for some, like some by province, by some prefecture cities, or some counties. But as I just described, for all the paper publications, there's no any comparable complete variable available. You can find from the paper publications for all the different provinces and including the province, city, and counties. Because every province, every prefecture, city, or counties, the table they published are different from the province to province. So some provinces, they only cover data down to the prefecture city neighbors. Some, they provide data come to the county neighbors. So there's no such a complete coverage, and you can find from those data from the paper publication. Where for population census data, you probably can still find some paper publications. But there's another very important data. It's the economic census data. Those census data, you cannot even find a very good paper publications. And also, for many, even from the paper publication, the data are mostly aggregated at national or province neighbors. You cannot find the detailed data at prefecture, city, or county neighbors. So we compare those census data actually from the firm neighbor. And by the province, prefecture, city, counties, and it's for different the census that include 1995 industrial census data, 2001 basic unit census data, and also 2004 and 2008 economic census data. Those data has been integrated and with 2000 base map, census base map, or 2010 the census base maps, and also 2000 2010 comparable and census maps. And also the base data provide more than 7 million records of establishments, and we call the established kind of firm labor, including manufacturing and also service sectors. So basically cover all establishments with a legal status. So those the information provide a very detailed information about Chinese the business structure, industrial structure, and also service structure and social structure. And also you can see how those different business industries, society has been changed over time, how the structure has been changed, and also how their distribution has been changed over time. And also, we also provide some geographical and environment data and compared from the third-party authorities. Those include some land use data, and from every 5 years, from 95 and 2010, and also some nighttime light data. Those nighttime light was originally and compiled from USGS, and it's basically the free source. And they compiled from the LASA's, the satellite, the image. But those image was in grid data, 1 square kilometers. So we compile those data, and by the province, prefecture, city, county, and township. So you can use those data as kind of external variable to verify, or as adding variable for the population study and the business study. And those data are comparable also at 2000 2010 different census base maps. So in the US, you can probably also can find some the GeoExplorer where the product similar to the GeoExplorer, basically for the spatial the data service. In the US, the original motivation to design provide that kind of spatial data service, and primarily for 2 different purposes. One is for online mapping. That's some ArcGIS Online and ArcMap Online. So the people, they can see the maps with the data and with the browsers without GIS, the tools. Another, the original the motivation for spatial data service, more advanced service, is for the location, the selection, the site selection. Because for there's many franchise, the companies, they would like to open a store, and like some Home Depot or some theaters or like some Starbucks or McDonald's. They would like to find where is the best place to have a new store. So they need to find where is the best location, what's the population, what's the business, and around those the candidate side. So there is several the companies and has been provided that kind of service. So they need to aggregate the data from the different sources. But for those kind of the service and their objectives, their missions are very limited and target for some business service. So they are totally different than our objectives here for spatial data analysis, because the data analysis for spatial data service, we're focused on how to identify the spatial pattern, spatial structure, and spatial trend, and also spatial linkage. So what kind of the linkage and between the different aspects of this complex the system. So it's much more complicated, and all the data has to be comparable and from the different the time and also different region. So the design is there's need a more advanced requirement than all other the spatial data the service. So I would say our China Explorer probably is the most advanced the spatial the data explorer in the field. So here are some features of the China Explorer. So it provides some rich and unique data connections. It provides flexible functions for data selection. It provides multiple formats for data export. You can also provide easy and time-saving report, charts, and maps. You can also generate unlimited data report, table, and maps from the most complete nationwide data available for China. With the China Explorer, you are not only be able to use the data we provided, you can also integrate your data and with our online maps and also with our online database for integrated data reports table. And also more important, no GI skills needed for spatial data analysis and mapping. And basically, even the high score student can use the China Explorer for their project. So here are some more detailed about the population and economic sense data in the China Explorer. For the population sense, it covers more than the 15 the big categories, and also there's about more than 2,000 variables. Those data cover general information, nationalities, not ethnic groups, age structure, household structure, education, fraternity, death, marriage, migration, housing status, and industrial occupations. For economic census, they covered about more than 900 different categories, from the manufacturing and to service sectors. Yes, the service sector include all the constructions, the power, real estate, banking, education, health, and even the religions, the organization, like some churches, temples. And those data available and from the different neighbors available like some province, prefecture, city, county, or even township. So here is some main menu of the China Explorer, and like the administrative units, so you can query the data by the province, city, county, or township. Location analysts provide the spatial data report based on XY or coordinate location and a spatial range, say by the 1 mile, 3 mile, 5 mile. It also provided time series data for unit statistics data by the province, city, and county neighbor cities. And for chart analysis, it provides a kind of trend based on the yearly statistics, also based on the economic census data. So you can see the place how the population structure has been changed, economic structure has been changed. The same map provides very easy functions for online mapping, and also the GIS map export allow you to export every GIS, every place, and also every variables, and from the export to the GIS shapefiles. And also we provide a kind of pre-compiled the map library, and with more than 8 million the maps, and for all those the data from China Explorer, but with complete map data. So you can basically search all the variables, search all the different the region, and easily to generate and professional maps, and also come up with all the map data and also citation information for publications. So here is the interface for users interface. So you can see on the top menu, we can see the top bar, we see the different menu for alternate units, XY location, time series chart, sim map, establishment, GIS map, and also map library. On the right corner, top right corner, you can switch between English version and the Chinese version, because this is important to keep the Chinese version. When we translate the Chinese from to English, there's many different items may not have exactly the meaning in English. So for those who understand Chinese, maybe can switch back between English and Chinese to see what exactly means in Chinese the terms. On the left side, the lower side is the menu, because the menu is basically can manually snap those the base map, region, index, and a report. On the right, the lower side is the map window. So basically, the map window allows you to use a different approaches to snap the region and also to snap the data. And from the map, also you can show your snapshot and immediately after you make the snapshot. So here are some samples how you can use the China GIS4 to explore the spatial pattern. So you can generate a table and reports, or generate maps to see how the population businesses are distributed over space. So you can get the table, or you can show the map and immediately. You can also explore the spatial structure to see how the economic structure, business structure, industrial structure are different from the place and to place. So you compare where even the data may be connected from the same census year. Since there's the different region are in a different stage of the development, so it provides a very clear kind of the spatial difference, and that's actually provide a kind of time trend. So you can look at what the structure has been changed on the east side, how the industrial structure has been changed on the west side. You can see how in the future this trend will maybe continue in the future. So based on the current data, based on the previous data, you can extract those data, export those data to the Excel, the tables. You can find out more detailed how the structures has been changed, and based on the data and from exported from to the Excel tables, not only the charts. And also you can explore the spatial structure and based on location and a spatial range. So they basically from Shanghai and 10 mile, 50 mile, 100 mile, how the population has been structured, how the business has been structured, and based on the distance and based on the spatial location. You can also generate those reports to see more detailed So you can use both the map and also the table to see the spatial structures of the different from place to place, from the side to side. And also you can use the China Explorer to explore the spatial trends. And those trends you can use the urban statistics, urban population sense, economic sense, and by the different the province, city, county neighbors. So you can see how the spatial trend and being changed over time. The one important in the economic sense is we have the startup of all the firms. So those the year of startup provide an important long-term the trend for all the business in China. And also you can use the China Explorer to explore the inter and intra-regional linkages. Basically, you can define your data based on different groups. So you can find how the difference between the intra-group and also intergroup, and how the different region where the dissimilarity or similarities, and also will provide the industrial linkages, and for more than 900 and the industries and the service sectors, and based on their location on the space, and also based on their time, the time trend. So that industrial linkages and primarily from the 2004 industrial sense, economic sense data. So you can easier to find the rank of the related industries and between any industries and other industries. And also you can generate the panel data for spatial model much easily. With the China Explorer, you can select region, select index, select year. You are not only and export the time series data and from those panel data, but also you can generate spatially weighted variables. And like the spatial weighted map variable, like for Shanghai, and what's the average population, and within say 500 miles or 1,000 miles. Those spatial, we call the spatial weighted variables. Those spatial weighted variables are very important for spatial modeling. Usually, the GI software, they will not provide such a function to help you to generate such kind of spatial weighted variables. And maybe some software, like some GeoDA can help you generate spatial weighted variables. And now, with our China Explorer, that can help you easily generate spatial weighted variables, so you can input that into other static software and for more advanced spatial modeling and spatial data analysis. Well, finally, so who are using the China Explorer? So here are some list of some users of the China Explorer. From the list, you can find so our users and rank from very top-end universities, like some Harvard, MIT, and even to the small private colleges. And from the public university and to the private university, and from the university and also to some the non-profit organizations. And also our users across in the US, North America, Europe, Asia, and all the world. Where I always have some questions from some users say, some data, and when you update those data of the China Explorer. So our data, and based on how the data, when the data were updated by the National Bureau of Statistics, for the population sense data, it usually is updated every 10 years. So the most recent, the population sense data is 2010, the population census. So next the census is 2020, the same as the US. For the economic sense data, the China has economic sense data. The first economic census started from 2004. Then the second one is 2008, 2013. The next one is 2012. And the same for some other statistics data, usually they can have the yearly the static update. So it depends on the data and how they were connected and reported. So for the many probably the studies, especially for business studies, they would like to get the data of the most recent updates. But those data are not available from any official sources. So we have been partnered and with the Demographic Consulting, the Incorporation, the DCI, to provide a population estimates and projections for China. And the data can come and down from the province, city, county, and down to the township levels. Again, since there's no official, this kind of the data, and based on the standard and published by, defined by the National Bureau of Statistics, and those data basically doesn't exist anywhere. Probably you can find some, say, population, the township data from some local, the counties or local townships. But the standard of those the data from maybe possible publication or even from internal source may not be comparable, may not be maybe different than the data published by the National Bureau of Statistics and based on the census the data standard. So it's important to provide the estimates and the projections and based on the data standard defined by the National Bureau of Statistics, so that data can be comparable with the census data. Otherwise, it will make no sense if the data standard were different. So we have been fortunate, has been worked with Susan Haney and of the DCI and for many years. So many the U.S. companies are using their estimate and for their business applications. Where the Chinese we are very proud about the spatial data service and our Chinese Explorer, and we believe that provide a very important information and also provide a very valuable functions for our users for Chinese studies. But there's some many restrictions and limitations of the Chinese Explorer. Similar to many other the data service and based on the web browsers, the users can only and or selected or exported the limited the number of the data and from the Chinese Explorer. And I always have some faculty and students ask me, can we download everything and from the Chinese Explorer just in one button, right? But Chinese Explorer, we have a huge database there. We have more than 6,000 variables. We have more than 60,000 different townships, and more than almost 3,000 counties and about 3,000 prefecture cities. So those data are, even if you to download, I can allow you to download those data and to your desktop. It can take half day or even more than half day to download those data. Since we probably can have the millions of the users on the online at the same time, it will crash our server if we allow the user to download the huge data set. And also, no any data providers, they would like to allow the users to download everything in a button. So even for users, it can make them happy and easier. So there's a kind of or different concern of the technical concern and the privacy rights concern, and also there are all the different kind of the issues and by the different the data providers and technical providers. But we have all these times the people, some were needed advanced the data analysts. They would like to work on the complete data set, but they don't want to buy all the complete data set. We do offer some option, allow the user to order separate the data set, say for all the townships, for all the counties, or for all the economic census or population census. But it's expensive than access to the Chinese Explorer. So the solution for this one is we have been working on this solution and for the many years. So we're very happy to tell you now we have some good news and to come. So we are working on this China Data Lab. It's a cloud-based it's a data system to allow the users to get access and to source data, and also with some advanced the tools. So we have some users probably even I can give the data, but also they don't have even the good tools, software to work with those data. So the China Data Lab is a cloud-based platform, and this project was co-sponsored by the China Data Institute or China Market Research, China Consortium for Finance, Economics, Education, and also the GEO Computation Center for Social Science at Wuhan University, and the business school at East China University of Science and Technology, and also some many other business the sponsorships. And also, so this has been a joint effort by many the partners. Without those partners, we'll be not able to make this available for our China studies and spatial studies. So recently, and we have the new build up some new business partners for the data providers and also software the providers. So one is the data providers, one of the major primary the providers for China financial data is a GTA Education the company. So they provide some free data, and for our China Data Lab, those free data basically is for the connective research to develop data case studies and also for training purposes. And also the companies, the Aptech, the system is the company is a developer for the GARS. It's a software company. This company has been existed for many years, more than probably 30 years, and provided some advanced the functions and engine for the statistical data analysis. So they also provide free support for our China Data Lab, and we are working with and more other data vendors and also software the providers to provide free support for our research for the data case studies and for trainings. So these are some sample of the workflow-based software, and from Artrix. Here's some the GIS software from the Israel. So finally we hope the China Data Lab can serve as kind of the infrastructure to support the collaboration and between different data providers, software providers for research centers and labs, and also faculty and students. So right now we are test the China Data Lab. We're going to release this the start trial and for some selective the institutions, and very soon in several weeks. Here are some income conference issues, and if you'd like to have the chance to join this conference, you will have the chance to meet our staff at this conference. One is the income conference in June, Spatial Library Association in Cleveland, and another for international users, and you can meet us at International Federation of Library Associations annual conference in the Athens at Greece. Here is a website of our China Explorer, and also we offer our webinars will be recorded and posted to the YouTube after the webinar. For any questions before I give the online demo? So here's from the China Data Online. You can find this is our China Data Online interface. You can find we have the provider several primary data source. The service China Spatial Data, that's China Explorer, China Statistical Data, That include all the monthly and yearly stats data, and also sense data, like some sense books. The China GeoSpore, here's the interface for China GeoSpore. So basically, you can find both the China GeoSpore and US GeoSpore, and for the comparative studies. The China GeoSpore, we have the several top menu here. You can query data by administrative units. You can select data, select different base year, 2000, 2010, or 2000, 2010 comparable base year. You can select a region by the province, prefecture, city, county, township. You can also select the index from here by the standard report or customized report. And you can also select what kind of the data report you would like to export, HTML, PDF, CSV, Excel file, or Word file. So from here, you can select a region, use the mouse, and direct it. So after you make the selection, see, this is some province region I select from the map. Then you can select the data. So I can select the data, say, from the selected the variables, and then generate the summary report, comparison report, or rank report. So you can get this data very quickly and very easily. You can generate. This is a summarized report. You can pick up the standard report. So this provides a kind of summarized report for all the selected province and here, and very quick. So you can have the data by different province, and also the data has been summarized. So it's provide a very easy tool for the data, not only to extract data, but also generate different reports. So the XY location allow you to generate the data report based on the spatial location. Like you can click the map and you can select the XY coordinates. So this is a new way to generate the data and generate a spatial observation and for spatial data analysis. Then you can select the different spatial range, say by 1 mile, 3 mile, or 5 miles. You can select the different data and standard data report or customize the data report. And then you can go to the HTML, Excel file. So now you can see the data has been summarized. This is dynamically generated. Say for location 1, location 2, 1 mile, 3 mile, 5 miles. You can see this is very fast because this is all generated online. It's almost impossible to predefine this one. And you can select data from more than 6,000 variables by the different census, population census, economic census. So there's a huge data listed here. The time series allow you to select the data by the province, prefecture, city, or county neighbor. You can select the different years, and then you can select the different index, the stats index. You can select the report. So this report gives you the different the province and also include their GB code, Knox-Down Phipps code in the US, and years, and also regional variables. And also you can see there's the spatial weighted variables. They call this the underline W. It's a kind of average of your neighborhood. The chart allows you to explore the trends of the business structure. So next some economic sense data, you can find how the Chinese insurance, the structures has been changed over time. And there's about more than 900 different categories, and for all the industry from the manufacturing to service sectors, and include sports, culture, health, all the different kind of this is like sports. And this structure available by the national neighbor, province neighbor, also prefecture city neighbors. So the scene map provides a very easy way for you to make the map online. So you can make the map, and based on those selected variables, make the incident maps. And this is an example aspect ratio. You can get the data. Now the new version, with the new version, you can have all the national maps and very quickly, very easily. For the older version with HTML5, you can only have the part. You cannot get the complete the map for all the China because there's some technical and restrictions. Now with this the new version, you can get the map for for all the China in the same window, and you can use more than 6,000 variables to make the maps. You can change the map setting by different color, by different methodology for the mapping. You can also edit the map title. You can export those maps to PDF, JPG, and files. So the establishment provide more than 7 million establishment for all China. So you can use this selection, the search function, so I like to find the education for all the different startup years. You can start up from 49 and to current, and you can pick up any say province, then search, or you can restrict it by city, county, and this is the selected all the different educational the place. There can be some schools, elementary school, high school, or even the college, universities. And you can have the chart to see how the new startup has been and changed over year. And those exchanges, the educations, also you can find very more detailed education structures. So like some preschools, primary school, middle school, high school, higher education, and special education. So those like some higher education, so you can see, so you can switch between different category and category. You can export those data to your Excel file, and then you can have a regional data from Excel file and generate here. So you can use a regional data. So that's the kind of data behind those maps and reports online. So those tables can be easier in Chinese and English. So from here, you can see what's the name of the business, and who is the primary contact person, where is the ownership, contact information, and starting year, what's the employment and revenue scale, and then also where's their XY location. That's the geo reference to the zip code, and also township, county, and city, province. So those information and provide, so that's a kind of the information behind our maps and reports, and also the different neighbors aggregate data. You can export every piece here into the GIS map. So basically you can select any place, and then select the different variables, and from the GIS map export you can select and whatever variables you like to export, and then I will say I like to export these variables. Click export the GIS map. Then they will download a zip file. The zip file will include the shape files, and also the Excel file for map data. So the map describe what kind of variable you selected, and what's the region, what's the place name in both English and Chinese, and what's the GB code. So this is the information, the GB code, the English name, and where's the data source, and in the GIS, the shape files. So it's very straightforward. So finally, this map library and provide a more easy search and by the keywords, by the data, by the place at national level, province, city, county, and with the data from the different sources. So you can get data from here. So I like to find this is the map. Kind of looks. You can have some flexibility to change the map. I can add the boundary. I can add the neighbor. I can use the different ways for the mapping. I can change the color. I can change the number of the classification. I can switch between city map and a county map. Or for the county map, you can also switch from the county map and between the different province and or between different counties. And for different counties, you can down to the township, the map and the data. So you can download those data into Excel files, CSV, export this map into the PNG or PDF files. And also we provide some map data for subject, source, and also citation. In citation, we provide a unique ID. So with this unique ID, from anywhere you can click this unique ID, and access to the map directly. So you can include this one in your future publications. Where that's kind of the primary functions. I will just go through this briefly, and you can switch between the English and Chinese. So if you are not sure and what's kind of the English the means when they translate and from the Chinese. Where the next one I can take some questions.
Yes, there are quite a few excellent questions available. Thank you, everyone, for those. To begin with, is there any restriction to using the extracted vector data outside of China?
When you say outside China, it means if the user is outside of China?
Yes, I believe that's what it means.
So our China Explorer is designed originally designed for international users. So basically, originally it's designed for the user outside China. Even it can also used by the user inside China. Okay. There's another question. Hi, Suzanne. Okay. So I see there's some questions from here. There's how the platform obtain the data. As I described, the regional data we received direct from National Bureau of Statistics. All those data are authoritative and authentic, the data.
Can I ask a question? What is the cost of subscription?
Okay, they are very good question. We have the subscription fee and based on by the different size of university libraries. Next time, based on your university have the full-time student more than 8,000 or between 6,000 to 8,000 or under 4,000. So we have the 4 different scales, and also we offer the subscription for institutions by IP range or for individual, the faculty and student members. For large top universities, next time Harvard, MIT is about 7,000 per year. For smaller colleges, probably between 2,000 and 3,000 per year, and that's based on IP range. For individual one, faculty can be only just about more than 1,000 per year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Another question, based on individual, so that means that would be just a one license, right?
Yes, for user ID, they have to access with the user ID and a password.
Okay, thank you.
For the campus, there's no user ID and a password need. It's based on the IP.
Okay. So so does the access to the data the same for the individual versus the institution license?
Yes, all the same.
Okay. Sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Another question is regarding the boundaries and if there are other data such as street data and POI elements.
Okay, those data, and you probably can get some free data from the OpenStreetMaps, and basically it's provided by some volunteers, but we don't provide the data, and basically those data are kind of restricted by the Chinese government if they are from official source, either the street maps or the POI, the data.
Another question, can we get the map in each year from 2000 to 2010?
Where the map we provide for GeoExplorer is to match our sense data. So we only provide 3 different base maps for 2000 and 2010 and 2000 and 2010 comparable the maps to match the sense data. That's the primary purpose. But we do provide the alternative maps from 1949 to 2018. So that we provide the yearly maps and by the province, prefecture, city, and county neighbors. Those data, and right now, it's kind of separate the city product. So you can ask them from here. You can find there's a map here is so basically those kind of the maps we provide. So you can find how the difference. So we do have these yearly maps available for spatial order, but in the future, in the China data map in the cloud, we also will provide this kind of the yearly GIS maps for the research and also for trainings.
Another question, can you show the variables included in the population census and the industrial census?
Can we show the maps?
The variable list.
Yes. Where from here, if you come here from any, say, Synapse index or switch to English, you can see there's customized report. You can see there's here the list. There's a different way to find the list of the different variables. One is from here, but here you can also use a search. Another way, in the map library, you can also find the data from, say, all right, to find the data from the different the list of here. Yes, also you can find the list of all the variables here. You can search. And another way is if you go to our website, the ChinaDataCenter.net, you can actually find all the data here. The data, this is kind of original data, and for the China Explorer, the data product. So those list of the different data products, they are being integrated in the China Explorer. So you can find more detailed the variables, the list, and from here. Next time, this is for 2000 the economic sense data with the China. This is the city product. So you can find a very detailed the list of all the variables. This is the economic sense data. This is 2000 2010 the county and the census data. So you can find what kind of variables available here. So the Chinese world in the database actually comes with the data from many different the original kind of city data products. So each data product has very detailed the list here. You can find it from our China data Center and .NET.
Another question, are we able to download the data as map layers such as shapefiles? And you did show that. Is there any limitation to that?
Yes. As I just said, there is some limitation, restriction on how many spatial observation or variables. I believe we probably have some restrictions about no more than 30 variables, and probably no more than 300 and spatial observations. So basically, you can download all the maybe prefecture city or the province, but you cannot download all the township in the same time. So you can probably merge that by yourself.
Another question, I was wondering if it provides any air pollution or smog data. For example, smog dispersion across the country.
Okay, I actually have another webinar talk about what kind of the data for environment and in the China the data online. So there's the several different source for this kind of the environment data. The number one in the China GIS4, and we have here where in the China the data online, you can probably find this kind of data from the three primary data source. One is from the yearly stats data. Next down here, I can find say pollution. This is the data come from yearly the stats table. So those yearly stats table, the data are published by the government, National Bureau of Statistics. This is all the index some tables related to the pollution. And these tables are kind of say this is investment in the treatment of environmental pollution. So there are all the different kind of also what's the air pollution, water pollution, or solid pollution, and by the national level, by province level, by different regional level. So that's kind of in a regional tables. The one is a big data source. Another one is from the yearly industrial data and monthly industrial data. So they provide some industrial data about different industries. So you can go to some industry, the potential. Those industry data didn't talk about directly about pollution, but talk about what kind of output from those the industries with some potential pollution, like some textile fire. So you can find those one province. Oh, this is. So you can find what's their output and the investment and profit and loss by different industries related to the pollution. Where another information in the China GIS4 related to the pollution is about establishments. So in the company information, you can find for the different industries, we can find say for this is the manufacturing. Also pollution related to the manufacturing, say this is a textile industry, or some those textile industries usually are primarily the polluted heavily related the business. So you can find for the different say Hubei province and where are those the business located related to the textile, and when they start up, and what's see there's a kind of the peak of here the textile information in the 1993, so we can expect that the pollution and will be there very serious impact of the pollution in those regions and during that years. So those are kind of three primary the source related to the pollution.
Another question. This is regarding the township boundaries. Just found that there's a problem with the administrative boundary at township level for the city of Dali. The boundary of Manjiang District and Tianjin District doesn't look right. How may I solve this after exporting the shapefile?
Where the township boundary we have, where basically there's no official the township boundary and match the Chinese census data. So we provide this kind of approximate the township boundary. It's approximated is based on the location of the township and also the area size of each townships. So it's a kind of the projected the boundary, not the real boundary. So that's a kind of the difference for between our township maps and then any maybe possible official the township maps of China. Where in China, probably there's no official the township boundary for all China, but you can probably find some the township maps for some provinces from some cities or counties. They provide a more kind of real the boundary, but the problem for those township maps, they will not be able to match our census data. So there's no easy way. And like example for Shanghai, we do have the real boundary for the townships in Shanghai, but that map will not be able to use that map because that map doesn't match our census data. So what you can do is based on the maps and try to see where's the difference between the township, the real township boundary map from some place in China, and then have to adjust it by yourself. There's no easy way. It's a very challenging way.
There are several questions on how to get access to the data, how to get a user ID, what is the cost of subscription, and let's see, basically how to access the service.
Okay. So here from the China Data Online, China Data Center website, you can find this is the information about for this online China database description. We do provide the order form here, so you can fill in this order form and then contact us. So basically, we do have some, and also we have some free version for the China Explorer. This free version provides some limited access to variables, but for all China, but most of the functions are very similar. So you can get some data for the province, city, counties, not township level. You cannot export those data into the GIS shapefile, but you can generate report and look at the maps, and also upload your data, use those base maps, and for online the mapping and the data analysis. So for so if you are interested in the online subscription, you can contact us and send an email to us or call us. Here's our contact information for get a subscription. We can set up subscription very quickly. Usually, if you send an order, we can set up the subscription and on the same day.
Do we have time for any more questions?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Question about, are some statistics compared with data published by Chinese authorities?
What's the question?
Are some statistics compared with data published by Chinese authorities? I think it's is this data from Chinese authorities or is it different?
Okay. As I said in my presentation, all our data, except the land use data and the nighttime data, all the census data are from the National Bureau of Statistics. From those data are authoritative and from the Chinese government. We're not be able to make the data or connect it by ourselves. Also, there are no other third-party source for those kind of data.
Well, that leads to another question, which is, I wonder, how does the platform obtain the data?
I think that's a similar question.
It's how.
Oh,
How do you access it if it's not available other places?
okay. So we have a partner. We have been work with a partner. Our China Data Institute has a long time the partnership with All China Market Research. The All China Market Research company was a company spin off from National Bureau of Statistics in late 1990s. So they get the special authorization from National Bureau of Statistics to provide the data for the public service. So that's how we can. As also, they were authorized as the exclusive distributor for those data from National Bureau of Statistics, and when they spin off from National Bureau of Statistics. So that's how we can receive the data and from the National Bureau of Statistics. And you probably cannot find for most of those data in our China Explorer, you probably cannot find anywhere in this world, and they're in the China Explorer. So that's how we can get the data. But those data, they have been published for some data or some format has been published, so they can be public, but they never have completed the publication, and for all China, for all the data, for all the region.
What about pricing for commercial use in U.S. dollars?
Yeah, if you can send an email, and we can send you the price information for those commercial, both the commercial and non-commercial the use. We usually have a big discount for the non-commercial use, yeah, but also we offer the service for the commercial use. And also it depends on how you use the data. You are using data for redistribution or reproduction, or only for internal use.
Would it be possible to get the presentation sent by email?
Yes. After this webinar, we'll post this recorded webinar to the Yahoo Tube, and also we'll send the PowerPoint and the link to every registered participant.
And when is another webinar?
We usually give the bi-monthly webinar, but we may have another webinar very soon for China DataNav. It depends on the progress of our test.
Are there any other questions? Okay, well, thank you all very much for participating today, and we apologize for going over the time limit. We will, as Dr. Shubing Bao said, we'll post the recorded webinar on YouTube and send you links. We will also send each of you a brief survey about the webinar. We'll appreciate your feedback and suggestions. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks for everyone, and also thanks for all of those wonderful questions. Bye-bye.